Hey guys, welcome back to Tower of Fantasy. In today's video, we're going to be talking about teams and the best team for you. Now, when I say team, I mean 3 weapons in your weapon set. I always refer to the weapons as the characters they come with. So I'm just going to call it teams. I figured like it's the easiest way to call it for now. But the best team that you can build based on what you have, what we're going to look at is a really awesome website that has a complete team builder. And so you can enter in what you have and then maybe filter and try and see what you're missing and what else you want. So we'll talk about the basics of team compositions. Then we'll look at the team builder and the kind of things you can build. And then we'll look at my team because I'm using a non-optimal team just because I haven't got the units that I want, but the team still works and is functional until I do get what I need. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump over into this website and I'll leave it linked in the description. It's tof.gg. It's got a full database with all the characters and stuff. And then it does have a team builder. Now, I really like these team builder type things. You can select roles for your slots and then pick the slots. You can also look at, you know, how many stars you want them to have, what matrix sets you want them to have, if you want 2 matrix sets or 1 set of 4, all that sort of stuff. Now, when we look at team building, the basics for solo play and most people just for progressing through the game, I'd recommend having a main DPS or a charge, like what I like to refer as a charge DPS. So a character that you're going to have in there or a weapon that you're going to have active when the enemies don't have shields. It's going to be charging you up, getting you close to those discharge abilities. So for that one, it would be nice if there was like a charge DPS here, but I'm just going to call it the main DPS. The next thing you want to have is a shield breaker. So when enemies get shields, you want to be able to break those shields. And the last one wants to be either like a sub DPS, which is like a support, or like a healer utility, something like that, some sort of support unit that you don't need to leave spammed in. You don't want 2 dedicated shield breakers, like you don't want King and Meryl in the same team. They're both shield breakers that both drain stamina. It's just not going to work well. You don't have a purpose for both of them. So when I look at this for main DPS, a common team, and keep in mind, this is for like general play and stuff like that. When you get into like raiding and stuff like that, you can actually like have, you can switch out from this and have different units as like tech units to buff and stuff like that. But in general, having a shield breaker is nice, but if you're in team play and say your tank is like heavy shield breaking, like your tank's got 2 tanks in King and their whole purpose is just to break shields and tank, then some of the DPS don't have to worry about a shield breaker. But in general, having a charge, a shield breaker, and then support is a great way to play it. And just for a quick idea, when you're looking at what you have and what role they want to fill, this is just a little on the tier list type thing of the roles that these guys fill. Now, with this charge unit, basically most of these supports like Coco, Zero, Tsubasa all have really high charge rating as well. So if you have none of these guys for your charge DPS, you can use them as that option, kind of like I am on my team, using the Zero as my charge unit. But ideally, these will come under support. Tsubasa is probably the most likely one that you'd want to use in this main DPS slot as well, but also a fantastic support slot in that purpose as well. But that should give you a rough idea of what you're looking at with what characters you have with where they can go. So for instance, common team that I would like to work towards on my account would be Samir as my main DPS because she's got a nice charge value and she's just a really strong DPS. Shield breaker, King or Meryl. You can also get away with Shiro or Huma, all good options. But as you can see, once I put that in, you can see my team core is now a solid charge DPS, a solid shatter DPS. Really good. That's what you want. You want that as your team core. Now, the next unit isn't as vital. Now, what I'm going to use, because I've got Nemesis, will be Nemesis. The reason I really like Nemesis for this role is she provides really good support. Obviously, she has the resonance that's going to help buff my Samir's damage. But on top of that, she's a really good one to use her discharge ability when the enemies don't have shields. King's discharge ability is really nice when they do have shields, but I can discharge into Nemesis. That's going to get her orb out, which is going to support my damage. On top of that, I can just use her ability quickly to get some extra damage. And then on top of that, I can do a couple dodges, get some heals rolling, and then swap back into my Samir if they don't have shields, or King if they do have shields. So that is why I really like Nemesis for this slot. The other options you can have, a good one if you're not going for Nemesis, something like Tsubasa. Now, if you have Tsubasa at 1 star, she's going to have that extra extra bit of support with the buffing the damage that you can deal, so that's really nice. So anything that can have like a bonus effect that's going to buff the damage your other weapons can deal is going to be really nice in this final slot. You can always just run with something like Coco or Zero, you know, if for solo play, especially if you want to just keep that sustainability up and not have to worry about eating food all the time. Those two are completely fine as well. But the main principle is you want to have a main DPS, which is your charge DPS, a main shield breaker, which is a high shatter unit, and then anything to support that. So look at what you have and see how you can fill in those slots. Now keep in mind, if it's very early and you don't have many units, you might not be able to do this sort of thing. So what I want to show you is the team that I'm actually running at the moment, which is actually this. Now this puts me into a Heal of Resonance, but it's sort of the best that I have. And my team is pretty much the same as that other team. Ignore the main DPS here. But I'm using Zero as my main DPS, but he's not a main DPS, he's my main charge unit. So I'm using him as my charger, even though he's not really dealing as much damage, because it's the best I have in the situation that I'm in. So what I want to do is just jump over into my account here, and I'll show you guys that. So if we go into my weapons here, you'll see that if I go to my warehouse, the only other weapon that I do have at this stage is going to be the Meryl. And Meryl and King, like I said at the start, they both use stamina, they both shatter. They don't really go well in the same team unless you're specifically a tank for like co-op modes. And you know, Meryl's going to be your main one for damage mitigation, and then you can use King for discharge, shattering shields. That is like a situation where they do work in the same team, but in general, just general play, you don't want to have them. So that left me in this situation where, you know, it's sort of, this was the best I could come up with. King is my main DPS. I will also at times leave King in even when they don't have shields, even though he's got low charge, just because he does deal a lot of damage. But this allows me to, when they don't have shields, I can swap into my cube, into my Zero cube, and you know, just generate that charge so that I've got discharge abilities available. And the principle's the same, it's just that he's dealing less damage than say a Samir would deal. Then I got King for shattering, and then that great tech option of the Nemesis to swap into for discharge to get extra damage, and also pop my healing as well. Now ideally, like I said, I will drop the cube here as soon as I get, even if I got like a Tsubasa or something like that, I would put her in this slot, but I don't have it yet. So the basic strat for me is I'm gonna go find some enemies and hopefully we can whack them. We'll be back in a sec. Okay, so here we go. We got some enemies. So normally I'm going to run in. I'm going to start with the cube just so I can generate some fast charge. Now, when they get to shields, that's when I'm going to want to swap into the King. But obviously that guy doesn't. So we've built up some charge. Now we'll go attack this big dude, because this big dude's going to have a shield that we can, you know, play around with that idea. So here we go. We're getting him aggroed. He's going to come. He's probably going to put his shield up pretty quick, hopefully. No, he's going to throw stuff at me. Come on, buddy. There we go. There's his shield. So this is when I would swap to King and use his discharge ability straight into his normal ability. And then we're just going to keep attacking with King, trying to dodge the attacks and shatter the shield. So that's what we want to do. We're going to keep going till we shatter the shield. It's been now shattered, I believe. I can't even see his health bar. Okay, that happened way too quick. But then after I shatter that shield with the King is when I would have gone into my discharge with Nemesis to get that extra supportive damage out. I would have gone into her ability to do that. And then because the shield would have still been down, I would have swapped over to my cube and kept just dealing damage, getting that charge up. Ideally, you have a DPS, a Tsubasa, or a, what's her face? Or a Samir in that position to be dealing more damage with it. But like I said, this is the best I have, so I'm just going to charge up with my cube. And then, you know, by then they've probably got the shields back up, which means we're going to go back into King. We're going to break some shields. And then, you know, if we break that shield, we're going to go into discharge for Nemesis. The other thing you can do is if you're DPSing and their shields are pretty full, and for instance, if I'm DPSing something with my King, I know it's annoying because we're not seeing it with something, but if I'm DPSing with my King and we get almost to fully charged on our weapon, and they've still got a shield, what I can do is I can swap out quickly to my cube, get the last couple hits to get fully charged, and then discharge into King's ability to shatter that shield. And that's like little tech plays that you can do as well. So that is the basics behind my team. Like I said, when you're team building, just look at what you have. Ideally, you want to have a charged DPS unit, or just a charge unit in general, a shattering unit, and then something to support them. Now, if you're missing any of the slots on my free-to-play account, I'm just running like, I'm running Samir, with 2 weapons that I basically never put out. I don't have a great shadow weapon, so I'm just playing through it with what I have, which is just a Samir. But once you start pulling more units, then you can start building a team together. And like I said, definitely go check out this site. It's a really cool site for team building and just getting your team together. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.